Introducing Nose to Tail, a podcast where we explore the world of aviation lifecycle solutions, insights, and more. Presented by Jet Midwest.
Welcome back. It's Patrick Kraus with Jet Midwest. I'm here in the Nose to Tail podcast in Chicago at the MRO. You know, it's been a good event so far, Ian. Appreciate you joining me.
Thank you.
Maybe you can give us a little bit of background on maybe how you started your career and where you are and what you're doing today.
Yeah, so let me start with where I am right now. Plug the company a little bit, of course.
There you
one
go.
of those things we do.
Paychecks.
Something like that. Hopefully bonuses too. Let's see how many podcast views we get first.
Yeah.
So my name's Ian Taylor. I'm the Vice President of Repair Business for the Barnes Aerospace Group, headquartered out of Connecticut, but with sites all over the world looking after basically every kind of repair for the internal parts of the engines. So stators, vanes, honeycombs, you name it. We're repairing it, cases, frames, or the whole shebang. Out of our sites, our main repair sites in Taoyuan, our other main repair site, Singapore, and then 3 repair sites in the US. Hopefully growing to Europe as well in the near future, so watch this space for that. So that's where I am now. Where did I start my career? All the way back with Rolls-Royce, way back in 2000 or so. I was very fortunate to get an apprenticeship with them, or an internship, should I say, not an apprenticeship, on their commercial scheme, looking after risk and revenue sharing partners to start with, graduating through for about 2 years of cycling through different places and doing a little stint in Indianapolis. So, obviously the score last night with Purdue was not in my favor, but anyhow, I lived in Connecticut afterwards, so you go. So that's all good.
Win-win.
I'm British, so it doesn't matter to me really. Sorry everybody for that. No, I spent probably 11 years with Rolls-Royce, 4 in International Aero Engines, which was a consortium, which Rolls-Royce were a major partner up until 2015, and they pulled out. I did a year in Germany for Rolls-Royce. Then I left and ventured off to the Middle East in Abu Dhabi. I was there in Abu Dhabi Aircraft Technologies, which some people may know as GAMCO, as was. I was looking after the engine business there, growing the business. And then that got diversified and specialized out into purely just engines. That was rebranded as Turbine Services and Solutions. I headed up the sales and commercial business for them through to 2018 when I joined MB Aerospace. Again, in the repair side of things, but kind of moving down the value chain. So started with the OEM on the whole engine, then went to engine repair, then went into component repair. So I don't know what's next. Maybe logistics. Let's see. Right?
I don't know. Manufacturing. I don't know.
Well, that's the other side of our business.
PMA some parts, right?
Oh, we don't like PMAs, but
all right,
on the other side of our business, we actually do manufacturing within the Barnes Group. So we're about 50-50 split between new manufacturing and repairs parts, which is what I do.
In the look back, how was the transition from working for Rolls-Royce, who is one of our favorite engine OEMs, into the aftermarket? Give me a little bit of flavor of that transition and maybe your sentiment on it.
Sure. I think first and foremost, I will say that I love Rolls-Royce. I probably still have Rolls-Royce inside me. I wanted to be a banker originally, and then ended up in aviation somehow. But anyhow, I think that was a good thing for me, and hopefully a good thing for the aviation industry too. I got taught a lot of things. I'm not an engineer by trade. I did economics at school, so they taught me the basics of how engines worked and whatever else. Some good training in there as well. But transitioning out was different. You're going from a company that has an awful lot of intellectual power, but it's a large corporation too, so lots of processes, etc. Moving into the aftermarket, very different. A lot of focus on relationships, a lot of focus on meeting people, which of course is important in the OEM world, but it's different in the aftermarket world. You have multiple suppliers. You've got 10 suppliers that could do something. What is your USP as an aftermarket supplier? What is it? Right now, of course, it's turnaround time. Everyone knows that in capacity. But back in the day, people do business with people. That is actually what I think, and a huge difference. Transition-wise for me, I don't think it was too difficult. I say that now, but I probably struggled at the time, going from a very structured company into a less structured company that was growing from, I think, 20 engines when I took over. When I left, we were doing probably 140. So
wow,
we grew quite a bit.
Yeah, that's tremendous growth.
Side. Yeah, that was credit to my CEO at the time and the executive team there, which I was fortunate enough to be a part of. Great growth, great story, and they're still doing well as Standard Aerotech. So congratulations to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Interestingly enough, my brother and our chairman, Paul, really handles most of the aircraft and engine acquisitions over our careers. And early on in my career, I was like, why do we keep getting these Rolls-Royce product lines. They're so challenging to supply parts for or to manage and repairs, and you couldn't get the support. And he was very clear. He goes, well, the challenges that are there are hard. And I go, yeah, there's got to be something easier. And he goes, no. You want to stay there because there's fewer people who are willing to get in and create the solutions for that product line. So it just seemed like we always ended up into the Rolls-Royce themed products, whether it was RB211 22Bs back in the day. I was just talking to John DeZuba about L1011s and lamenting a little bit. And or the 524s, same aircraft, to the RB211 535s. And now we're on hot and heavy on the Trent 800s and 900s. Okay. And again, all of them have the same behavioral patterns at Rolls-Royce. They haven't changed at all. They are who they are. But we accept that. We sort of say, hey, we already understand how to navigate most of this. And so I feel like we've been successful because we do navigate it well and overcome some things that maybe other people aren't willing to put the effort into because it's maybe easier to handle some other product line, whether it's a Pratt or CFM product line. Sure. So certainly I'm a fan of Rolls-Royce as well, but maybe for different reasons than your legacy so far. So, most of the time in our careers we have sort of the pivotal either person or moment or event that kind of happens, that kind of springboards us, maybe gives us some self-realization or really gives us that next step in our career to really take. Maybe you can help us understand one of those moments for you.
I think, to be honest, it's probably two people, maybe it's three that I would actually say. The first one was actually probably my first manager. The way that he helped me on the intern scheme and he gave me the confidence and everything else to deal with stuff. And he was extremely busy, so he said, hey, you seem confident enough, you just get away and do it. And, actually I've reconnected with him recently. He was very successful in his career. He's a managing director at BAE now. But he came to my wedding. I haven't connected with him in probably, 10 years or something like that. And we were just reminiscing about our times in Spain and really just the way that he allowed me just to get on with things and just trust me, make me accountable for everything rather than trying to spoon feed me and give me everything, say do this, do that. I would say he's definitely one. And then I think the other person that's pivotal from a career perspective is probably my last CEO as well. The way in which he worked, different way of working in a private equity company. Very much more so around open your eyes as to what else is out there, just not sales and engines. How are you running your EBITDA? What's going on with this? What's going on with that? How does that feed through to the whole site level? Bringing your cost rate down. And that was really, really, really encouraging and gave me a very different perspective. And obviously opened a number of doors, should we say, into the private equity world as well. So that's always nice. But I think, just one more thing, I think the other thing that a lot of people don't probably mention in this kind of thing is your family. So I think my father was probably the most inspirational person in my life, who gave me the courage, he gave me the love, the background to actually just go out and trust myself and do what I needed to do.
Well, that's awesome. I would completely agree with you that, I've worked with my family. My brother and sister and I are the owners of a company. I'm the youngest of the siblings, and it certainly has its own unique challenges when you're growing a company. When the road gets rocky, we're pretty intense with each other. But at the same time, you couldn't do that with another business partner. And we also learned a lot of understanding growing up. So both pieces of that fit really well together, I think, for us. And certainly, I've got a wife and kids, and they really supported. I could not have done the travel.
100%.
And when times were tough and it was just go, 7 days a week, every waking hour working, they understood. So that's huge.
Yeah, I agree. And I can't thank my wife enough for understanding too.
Yeah.
We're on the road a lot, we're traveling a lot. You soon realize when you've got a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, when we talked yesterday, you had mentioned you're really enjoying living in Abu Dhabi.
Yes, sir.
Maybe give us a little flavor of what life is like in Abu Dhabi for an aviation professional.
Yeah, I think, so first and foremost, I moved to Abu Dhabi for work. I mentioned Abu Dhabi Aircraft Technologies, which is essentially a government-owned, it's an investment fund or a sovereign fund that's owned by us. I didn't know what to expect to live there. I'd visited since 2004, and I moved in 2011. And I was very pleasantly surprised, should we say. I lived in the States. I love the States. I'm from the UK. Germany was very different. It was great. But living in Abu Dhabi, there's a whole world of opportunity out there. I mean, obviously people know it's a rich state, or the UAE is a rich country. But they also have great ambition and drive in the way that they're going with aviation. So in terms of looking at what's next, I mean, these guys have got, jetpack drones flying around in Dubai. They've got, it's almost like the Jetsons with the views of what they've got for taxis. The lifestyle is definitely good out there, but I think the opportunity and drive they have to be sustainable and then also create, the future innovation around the aerospace industry and many other industries, but obviously we're talking aviation right now, is really something. So I got to give great credit to the guys out in the UAE for what they're doing and how they're driving things through with all their products too. The airlines are great out there. No one can deny that.
Yeah. No, for sure. I when I go to MRO Middle East each year, it's a long, arduous travel, but boy, the perks that you're able to get, black car picking you up from your hotel back and forth, whatever flavor of wine you happen to want to have with your dinner choice that night. So there's some really wonderful pieces of that for sure. And you know what? They understand that they need that kind of service. Right, they need that service to get guys like us to get on their airline and fly out there and ignore maybe that domestic carrier that we're loyal to, sometimes to a fault. But when you have the opportunity on that 15-hour flight to have it not be so horrible, because 15 hours in an airplane is
it's a
really
long time to get a tin can. But But I think the other thing is, again, the service level is great. It doesn't matter whether you're at the front of the plane or the back of the plane. It's still a great service level and a great product from the guys out there. So, as you said, it makes it a little bit more enjoyable.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're sat in the front and not in the back, I'll be very honest.
Well, I'm in the middle. How about that? Don't know that 2 trips in the middle is 1 trip in the front, so I'll stick with the middle and just go twice. So engines obviously has become a focus in your career, and a lot of times we joke just sort of engine guys and airframe guys, and we don't do all the same things together, but certainly it takes a different kind of, especially technical approach, I think, for engines. What's given you that? Was it the time at Rolls-Royce that gave you that technical, and maybe even on the repair side? So I guess more of what you're doing now is the component repair on those pieces. And how are you using that to service your clientele? Maybe that's a good way to phrase it.
Yeah, no problems. I think, yes, my focus was an engine. When you're a Rolls-Royce person, the engine is the center of the world. That's just the way it is. I think you actually do come to learn and understand a little bit more when you get into a facility that overhauls aircraft as well, and then you kind of understand that the engine is just one piece. It's a major piece, but it's one piece. But now in terms of servicing, I think, again, being in the engine shop, it gives you a real understanding of what your customers actually want when you're repairing parts. They don't want excuses, they want this, they want clear communication. If you're going to be late, tell them early. So they can plan, they can get things through. It's not rocket science when you're doing an engine. There's 3 gates. There's the initial teardown, as you'll send things out, get them back, and then there's to put it back together. That's it. And that middle piece is now where I'm at, and we fix the parts in the middle. And you typically want to be 28 to 30 days, like from time it's sent out to time it gets back, if you want to hit everything in terms of your 65-day turnaround time. So right now, our big focus and drive and what we pride ourselves at Barnes on is hitting that 25-day maximum turn time, getting things in, getting them out, when it's a standard product. If you've got a difficult product, if you've got like a case that when you put it through heat treatment, it cracks again, which sometimes it does, that's nothing to do with us, that's just the design of the product, unfortunately. You have to put it back through the cycle and work it. It runs a little bit longer, but again, communication is that key. Making sure that your partner, whether it be an MRO, whether it be a broker, or, could even be an airline, to be fair. Normally not, because I'm thinking about Delta or Lufthansa or someone like that who kind of are a mixture, an airline and an MRO. They just want to know when they can get their engine back together and get it back on wing. Because they've got so much different planning, as you well know.
Sure.
As an airline, it's not just, here comes an engine, let's put it back on. There's a lot of things. When's the aircraft down? When's it changed? When do we have the crew? When can we do this? I think that understanding and making sure you drive that into your customers is really a key focus that we thrive on in Barnes.
We'll continue this discussion on the next episode of Nose to Tail, a podcast presented by Jet Midwest. Don't forget to please like and subscribe to our channel.